Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. So in today's head-to-head comparison, let's take a look at the 2025 Toyota Tacoma TRD PRO and the 2025 Ford Ranger Raptor. I borrowed the Raptor from Mooresville Ford, so take a look at their website. That link is down in the description below, along with the full detailed reviews that I've made on both of these trucks, so that way you can see more driving impressions. But let's start off with the MSRPs for both of these performance midsize trucks. The Raptor starts just shy of $58,000 versus closer to $63,000 for the TRD PRO. So it is slightly more expensive. And then the Raptor is powered by a 3-liter twin-turbo V6. It's paired to a 10-speed automatic, and it pumps out 405 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque, versus a 2.4-liter 4-cylinder turbo hybrid paired to an 8-speed automatic, and it pumps out 326 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. Now, both of these trucks are rear-wheel drive with their respective 4-wheel drive systems. We have a curb weight of 5,100 pounds for the TRD PRO, 5,400 pounds for the Ranger Raptor, but 0 to 60 is going to be 5.3 seconds for the Raptor versus closer to 7 seconds for the TRD PRO. Top speeds are very similar at 106 miles an hour. And then as far as fuel economy goes, the TRD PRO has a smaller fuel tank at 18.2 gallons. You can expect, though, to see 22 miles per gallon in the city and 24 out on the highway versus a 20.3 gallon fuel tank on the Raptor, and you'll expect to see 16 miles per gallon in the city and 18 out on the highway. And then their ground clearance is going to be fairly similar, right around 11 inches. Now, as we take a look at the exterior styling for both of these trucks, you can tell they have a very distinctive look. For the Raptor, you'll notice the Ford logo, which is iconic from the F-150 Raptor, carried over to the Ranger here, where this also has a forward-facing camera, LEDs for all of the lighting, there's fog lights too, steel front bumper, there's parking sensors, tow hooks as well, skid plates up underneath, and just a really great design. Lots of cutouts to provide additional cooling. Now, you'll notice that the Pro sits a tad higher. This also has the iconic Pro grille with Toyota. There's also a 20-inch light bar with a forward-facing camera underneath that. Fog lights are in the middle section there, where there's also the TRD PRO skid plate underneath. No steel for this bumper, so everything is basically plastic except for the skid plate, but you got tow hooks up underneath, LEDs for all the lighting, and then a much more distinctive hood design with that gloss black bulge in the middle, and then the TRD PRO badge on the side. Now, both of these have a pretty good approach angle, so they do have somewhat of a high clearance design for up front. You'll notice for the Pro, the bumper actually has that cutout there, so you can see more of the front tire, versus on the Ranger here, where you have just a slim style for that bumper, still giving it a good approach angle as well. Now, as we work our way to the side, you'll notice the Pro has a very large set of gloss black fender flares versus more of a plastic design for the Ranger, but they still stick out a good bit. You do have 17-inch beadlock capable wheels for the Ranger, however, so that means that you can air down a lot better than you can with the 18s on the TRD PRO. So interesting to see that. They both have a 33-inch tire, however, and then they both have a lift kit as well. You'll notice the TRD tuned suspension for the Toyota versus the Fox suspension for the Ranger. Now, as we take a step back, they both have turn signals and cameras on their side mirrors. And then you'll notice steel running boards for the Ranger versus just a rock slider for the Tacoma. So there's no actual step for that. So you have the step for the Ranger there. And from this angle too, the Pro still looks to be a tad bit taller. You have the gloss black roof, which is a part of the color scheme for the Tacoma. There's also a sunroof located up top. You do not have a sunroof for this Ranger here. And then for their side designs, both have a really good look. You'll notice the massive Raptor badge going down the bed side, and then they have very nice lines for both of them. They're both quad cabs with the shorter bed as well. Now, as we take a look at the back, you'll notice Raptor along with Ranger in the lower section. This has a steel rear bumper. It can tow around 5,500 pounds. It also has a dual active exhaust system. And then as we work our way to the bed, it does have the soft opening tailgate where we do get the spray and bed liner. You have an auxiliary, several tie-down hooks, and then there's also channels here where you can place clamps, and there's a tape measure there. So you can use that as a functional workspace as needed, or workbench, and you also have remote start for this model. Now at the back of the Pro, you'll notice TRD PRO stamped in that tailgate. This does get a steel rear bumper, the ARB bumper. This can tow right around 6,200 pounds, so slightly more. You'll notice tow hooks on both sides, and then this has the same soft opening tailgate. However, it is automatic. So you have a few different ways that you can do that, including the buttons that are located on each taillight. Now with the Pro, you also get a spray and bed liner. You do get a little bit of storage with some auxiliaries. You have channels for the tie downs, and you have even more storage located on this side with another outlet right there. And then all you have to do is give it a simple push and it will automatically close. Now that is something that you can turn off if needed, and this truck also does not have remote start. Some of them I have seen have it. This also has the TRD dual exhaust coming out of the side. It is not active like the Ranger. But with the remote start, I haven't seen any that do have it, but some models do have that option. I'm not exactly sure how that works because I think all of them should definitely have it. But let's work our way to the interiors, where this Ranger has a really nice design. You have the release handle hidden behind the grab handle there. And then with the interior, you do get a little bit of storage underneath the seat, so you can place some items there as needed. There's not really any storage behind the seat, but you can fold them down if you need to. And you have a really nice design with the leather, the orange, and the Alcantara. Now at 5'10", for a smaller size truck, it's pretty decent. You got storage, there's also auxiliaries there, and I have maybe an inch and a half of headroom here. So I could honestly ride around town, maybe go on a short road trip. Yes, it's tight, it's a mid-sized truck, but it's doable. You might be able to fit some car seats back here as well if needed. Now you do have an armrest with cup holders, and then that sliding rear glass, which is power adjusting. And then as we work our way to the TRD Pro, this interior has a really nice design as well. You'll notice there's some carbon fiber-like accents. You have red stitching, some storage down below. Now you can get the TRD Pro with black interior, so you don't have to get red with the white, but the other colors will come with a black interior. Now with the hybrid system, you lose storage underneath the seat. If you go with a non-hybrid Tacoma in general, you do have storage underneath the seat, just like you saw in the Ranger. Now with the TRD Pro, you also have the isodynamic driver and passenger seats up front. So you have several adjustments to make these seats super comfortable if you are off the road or off the pavement. Now the one downside is that yes, it is a little bit tighter. You would have to move this seat forward. I'm 5'10". This is where I have the seat adjusted. If you get a non-Pro, you get more leg space not having these seats, of course. Now you have cup holder storage in the middle with auxiliaries down below. And then up top, I have about the same amount of headroom, to be honest. Now I recently bought a 25 TRD Offroad. I have plenty of legroom behind the seats of that. So very similar to the Ranger, it's just gonna be a little bit tighter in the Pro. Now you don't have any storage or armrest in the middle here, and you have that same power sliding rear glass. Now as we work our way up front, we'll start on the Pro here, where you have dual storage bins. You also have your mirror controls, window adjustments, and then a really nice two-tone design. And then these seats are also power operating for forwards and back. They're manual for the recline and incline. And then as we hop into this, we have the start button up top. Really nice design for the steering wheel too, with the red stripe up top. Now on this right side, you'll notice all the cruise control settings, distance pacing, you have mode and tuning. And then on the left, you have volume and voice commands, and then you can also go through the digital gauge cluster. Now what's neat about this is that you have 3 different settings. As you can see, there's some different information that is popping up. If you hold on the OK button, you can actually set each screen up to what you would like to see. So you have the left side and the right side where you can go through all of this and have all 3 set up depending on the driving that you are doing. So it is somewhat configurable to do that. You can also change the gauge cluster layout itself. So you can go into a few different modes depending on how you want the display to be shown. Now on this left side, you have the ability to adjust the pitch of the headlights, which is really neat. You have a dimmer switch, fuel cap release, automatic headlights, there's traction control, the power outlet for the bed. You can actually open and close the tailgate from inside, so from the driver's seat here, which is nice. You get 4 auxiliary switches down below, the light bar in the grille, and then there's a bed light too, so you can see in the bed when needed. Now you do have 1 air vent. There's also the JBL audio, so you have the removable Bluetooth speaker up in the dash. And then with the 14-inch screen, it's pretty simple, but you can go through a good bit. So you can pull up the navigation, get into your music, you have your phone, various settings that you can get into and set this up the way that you would like. Pretty simple, but effective. You have volume in the middle along with air vents. There's also temperature adjustments for the dual zone. You have fan speed, your AC, where you'd like the air to go, heated and ventilated seats. You get a heated steering wheel, the trailer braking system, and then you have wireless charging, lots of storage and auxiliaries on your passenger side. And then when you put this into reverse, you have a lot of different angles that you can go through. So depending on what you would like to see, there's that bed view as well. And then you can also look at some different angles here within the vehicle. And you can also pull up more of an off-road focused design, just depending on what you are doing. So pretty neat to see all of those. And then you have drive and the ability to change gears there. Now there's also the e-brake, you have auto hold, and then your four-wheel drive selector is by twisting this lower section. If you twist the upper section of the dial, this is how you can get through the on-road modes. So you have 3 to choose from. There's also a tow and haul. You have multi-terrain select, downhill assist, and crawl control. So those are very, very beneficial for off-roading, going through various terrain. You can have those set up and ready to go. Now there's also a trailer backup assistance. You have a shortcut to the camera system. There's also a locking rear diff. You have the sway bar disconnect, cup holders, and then a little bit of storage in the armrest. And then you also have plenty of storage in the glove box. There's also a USB-C back here, and you can place your item in that bin there and charge it at the same time. Now you have garage door buttons up top, along with adjustments for all the information within the screen. You have the digital rear view mirror, which is nice to go through. So you can adjust the pitch of it, the angle, where you would like it. Definitely very beneficial to have. There's also a sunglass holder behind that, and then you have the control for the rear glass, along with the sunroof, being able to open and pitch that. Sunshade is going to be manual. And then here's a look at visibility, where it's pretty easy to see. It's a mid-sized truck, so you're not really going to have many blind spots with how small these vehicles are. And then as we work our way to the Raptor now, you have power folding side mirrors, memory seating adjustments, which would be nice to see on the Tacoma. You have that same release and grab handle design, storage in the lower section, and then these are fully adjustable automatic. So you have a really nice design for those. Now as we start this up, we have that same stripe up top, very similar design for the materials on this. Now on the left side, same thing, volume, Bluetooth, you have all the cruise control settings. And then with the Raptor, you have a little bit more configurability. You can actually go through the steering feel, you have the suspension settings, and then you have the exhaust. So those are a lot more configurable to go through. You even have an R button that you can pre-program and have set up. So you can just push on that button, know your settings, and you're ready to go. Now you also have massive paddle shifters for this. And then you have headlight, fog light adjustments, dimmer switch, the bed light there. Not as many controls as in the Toyota. You get one air vent, and then this screen is just in a different orientation, but you still have a lot that you can go through. You can pull up all of these shortcuts up top here, get into a lot of vehicle settings. I would say you have a lot more to go through to configure this as you would like. And then right in the middle, you do have some more info. You can program these and have those shortcuts ready to go to pull it up in full screen there. Underneath that, there's all of the climates. You have heated seats, so they're not ventilated, but you get a heated steering wheel too. And then there's temperature adjustments, you have where you'd like the air to go, and defrosters, and then you have all of that in physical form down below. So temperature, fan speed, you have volume as well, and then some defrosters. Now this also has a trailer braking system. You have wireless charging with a little bit of storage and auxiliary. There's 2 cup holders. And then for this camera system, a little bit different of an orientation, but you can still pull up about the same amount of views. So just depending on what you need to see. And I didn't show it on the TRD Pro, but you do have a very similar trailering camera system that you can pull up for more visibility. Now with this, you do have the manual button, so you can use the paddle shifters to control gears. There's the e-brake behind that. You have a shortcut to the camera system, traction control, engine start stop, which you do not have on the Pro. And then you can also get into the front and rear locker. You do have an off-roading cruise control setting, just like crawl control. Now you don't get a front locker on the Pro, but crawl control kind of makes up for that. So they're kind of very similar, a little bit different of a function. And then you have PSI that you can monitor. Now you have all of your four-wheel drive selectors, very similar to the TRD Pro, but you do get a few more driving modes that you can easily go through. So just depending on how you're driving, you get a few more, which is nice to see. Now you also have an auxiliary with storage in the armrest. You get 2 glove boxes, so one up top, a little bit of storage in the middle, and then the locking one down below. And then no garage door buttons, no 360 camera for this rear view. You have the electronic rear window, you get a sunglass holder and auxiliaries just like you saw in the Pro. And then as far as visibility goes, it's about the same. There's really no differences with looking over both shoulders. They're going to provide you with about the same amount of visibility overall. So with the exteriors and interiors wrapped up, let's get both of these trucks out on the road and see how they drive. So we'll start off behind the wheel for the Ranger Raptor from second gear. Just a minor acceleration and we can get up to speed. Definitely has a good sound to it, and that is in the sport exhaust setting. Now with this truck, I don't have as much experience with driving these. We did have one for a week that we did get to take off the pavement, so at least to experience it a little bit, but I do have more experience with the Tacoma in general. This is a really nice truck. I think that you get a little bit more headroom. This does not have a sunroof, so I think that is one of the key differences. If you are a little bit taller, you might fit better in this compared to the Tacoma, but a really nice interior, a lot of great options for the pricing too. You have a lot of nice performance and tech features to go through. So this would make for a great daily driver. Let's face it, both of these trucks will be seeing the pavement a lot more than off-roading, but you have a great performance truck that can pretty much do it all. Now it is a mid-size truck, so obviously it's going to be a little bit smaller on the interior, but you can still use this as a capable vehicle. So if you're looking for some power, some performance, maybe you don't like the hybrid system just as much, you can get into this EcoBoost engine from Ford. And seating position is good. It's a nice truck to drive for the miles that I've been able to put on it. So let's hop into the TRD Pro now and see some of the differences. So let's jump behind the wheel of the TRD Pro now. And I can give it a little bit more juice since this vehicle is well broken in, but we are up to speed with the Pro. So as you can tell, we have a much different outlook with this truck. It does sit or feel like it sits a little bit higher than the Ranger Raptor. And we have a much different layout, some of the same information, but a much different layout with all the tech features. And I've been driving this around for a few days and I really like it. These are both trucks that you're pretty much buying to drive as is. If you're getting these top trim levels, I don't think you really are doing any modifications to them. Maybe you're doing some bed accessories or something like that, but you have two really good factory options that you can just drive and go on some adventures, whether that's off-roading, you're doing some camping adventures, whatever it may be. Really two good options. Now with the TRD Pro, you get these isodynamic seats, which I thought were a gimmick at first, but after driving 45, 50 miles an hour in the dirt with them, it's a super comfortable ride. They are very beneficial for high-speed off-roading situations. They can be beneficial for on-road as well, absorbing some of these bumps, but you will see a major difference when you are not on flat pavement. And we're not gonna be able to make that, so we'll have to do a separate UE here. But they both are pretty maneuverable for being smaller sized trucks. And honestly, you really can't go wrong with either one. Just depends on what you are going to like more. And we'll give it another acceleration to get into traffic here. Definitely not as loud as the Raptor. We don't have as many configurabilities in that aspect. So coming back to our final thoughts now between the Ford Ranger Raptor and the Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. We've been able to have a lot more experience behind the wheel with the Tacomas in general. I just purchased one, so you will see a lot more content under our Toyota Tacoma playlist. We've been able to take the Pros off-road as well. I think it's a very fun truck, very capable, good size to it. With the Ranger Raptor, however, just its on-road driving is very fun. The paddle shifters make it a little bit more sporty. You have a few more of those on-road modes if you're looking for some of that performance, the configurability with the exhaust suspension, things like that. But honestly, you can't really go wrong with either one of these models. You do get some more features for less money with the Raptor. This is going to be a little bit more on par with the TRD Offroad in terms of its pricing, but with the Pro here, you get a lot of nice upgrades compared to the Ranger here, like the isodynamic seats and a few other things as you saw in today's video. So honestly, you can't go wrong. Even though I own a Toyota Tacoma myself, the Ranger is definitely a cool option. So it really just depends on which styling you want. I know the engine is going to be a big hit or miss. If you're not looking for that hybrid system, you can go with the twin turbo V6 there. I think the hybrid is a great system. Only time will tell, of course, but it's been great in my truck so far. Two really good options, so comment down below. Obviously I went with the Toyota Tacoma, but the Ranger is definitely a great option if you're not looking for the full-size Ford F-150 Raptor, which I think would be a really cool upgrade if you want a larger truck. So comment down below, would you rather have the Ranger or the TRD Pro? Let me know your thoughts. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a huge thumbs up and consider smashing that subscribe button to stay up to date with our daily uploads. I will see you all in the next video.